Listen, not all stats are created equal, especially in baseball. Some stats tell you what already happened, and others actually help you predict what's going to happen next. In this video, I'm going to break down the advanced metrics that correlate with winning bets and how you can start using them immediately in your own process when it comes to handicapping the MLB. So let's get into it. Now we get into the backbone of your process. We're talking about the technical analysis or your modeling. And I'm going to say this clearly. If you're using stats like batting average, you're already falling behind because in the Major League Baseball, you need stats that actually explain why performance is happening, not just what happened. And more importantly, these stats need to correlate with your bet type. So let's start with the money lines and the run lines. Who wins, or maybe even doing the margin. So let's start with pitching because it drives everything. We're talking about XFIP and XERA. These estimates, or they estimate basically what a pitcher should be allowing, and they strip out that luck, defense, and randomness. Next is going to be WHIP. This is just walks plus hits per inning. How many base runners a pitcher allows. More base runners usually equals more scoring chances. Next will be strikeouts minus walk rate. This is going to be one of the best stats that you can use because it measures the dominance and control. A high number means a pitcher controls the game, where a low number means a pitcher puts too many balls in play or walks a little too many guys. Next would be hard hit percentage, maybe even OPS allowed and extra base hits percentage. These measure damage allowed. Remember, not all contact is equal, ladies and gentlemen. A pitcher giving up hard contact is dangerous even if the ERA looks good. Next, we have run expectancy. This measures how a pitcher impacts scoring based on situations. Now we're going to jump over to the hitting. We got WRC plus or RBAT plus. I want you guys to only pick one of these. These measure total offensive value. This is basically your, who has the better lineup stat. On base percentage is going to be another one that's pretty good. How often hitters get on base. More base runners usually equal what? More run opportunities. Now we got ROBA, also RE24. These measure quality of offense and run production, not just hits, but meaningful hits, right? Now, the big goal of modeling the MLB is going to be trying to eliminate luck. Stats like ERA can lie to you. So you're using advanced stats to find what's real, what's sustainable, and where the market might be wrong. Or if you want to get creative, you can even build a luck factor into your model. Now, let's move over to totals. This is where things kind of shift. Totals are about run environment, not just who wins. So start with pitching plus hitting stats that we just covered in the money line and run line. But now layer in wind. 10 miles per hour is what we like to look at. This is one of the biggest edges in baseball. Remember, wind blowing out means scoring boost up. Wind blowing in means that the scoring is suppressing. Park factor, this tells you how a stadium impacts scoring. Coors Field, high scoring environment, but a stadium like Petco Park, that's going to be suppressed runs. I would say check out Baseball Savant. They have a great park factor that considers multiple variables. And then don't just stop there. What if there are two great starters on the mound in Coors Field, with the wind blowing in? That may be value on the under in a notoriously overs bet stadium. Just remember that. Now, with the final thought here, modeling works in Major League Baseball because there's enough data, right? Enough volume. And then there's data and volume to build something real. But don't get this twisted. Your model is not, there to make all the decisions for you. It's there just to guide you. The edge is going to come from combining the core, the data, the fundamentals, and the market timing. That's how you're really going to win in the MLB. Now, let's finish this off by tying your data to the rest of the bet types. Because again, this is the whole point of the modeling, right? You want to use the right stats for the bet that you're actually placing. We're going to move on to player props. We zoom into the individual level, right? Strikeout props, like, you're thinking this is simple but really powerful, right? A pitcher's strikeout rate versus opponent's strikeout percentage, maybe a high strikeout pitcher versus a high strikeout lineup, you would want to, go towards the over in that player prop. Maybe a low strikeout pitcher versus a low strikeout lineup. You may go the under on that specific prop. Also thinking about hitting props, you're looking at contact ability plus the matchup. So does the hitter make consistent contact? Does the pitcher allow contact? And then you would jump into the historical matchups, right? But be careful here. This is where people kind of fall into the recency bias or maybe even the gambler's fallacy. Small sample sizes are going to crush you. So use it as only, a reference, not necessarily a decision maker. And finally, we'll touch on individual stats. You're diving into player level data. So you're talking about hard hit percentage, contact rates, pitch type performance. This is where props can get soft if you do it the right way. Now we're going to zoom out on a team level. We're going to talk about the futures. First and foremost, run differential. Some of you guys are going to say, this is a very elementary stat. Why would I look at that in terms of futures? Because run differential or scoring differential in baseball actually matters more than any other sport. You're gonna want to account for it, basically. Then you're gonna layer in some team pitching metrics, team batting metrics, team bullpen metrics. This is going to give you a full picture of team strength, and then use the stats that we've been chatting about, but remember, on a team level. Or you can add up individual player values to make up a team level number. Final concept here that you need to understand, and you need to understand this if you want to win long term, is that era adjustments matter now more than ever. Sorry. The game is changing, right? Rules, pace, offense. So if you're using data from years ago without adjusting, you're modeling a different version of baseball. So make sure the stats that you use are actually impacting the betting market. And finally, remember, predictive stats are always going to be better than the traditional stats. ERA, it can lie. Underlying data like expected ERA or expected FIP, contact quality, that's what's going to tell you the truth. So that's how you use data the right way, not just usually collecting the stats, but applying them to the right bets. And if you want something that you can actually use day to day, we put together a simple system to identify what actually matters. It's a PDF that walks you through the exact technical, fundamental, and market factors that we just covered step by step. So instead of remembering all this, you can just follow the checklist and check it out down below. Now, let's talk about some systems, and this is where things can start to come together for you. A system is simply this: it's a repeatable pattern in the data that helps you make a clear, better decision. So, it's not a guarantee and it's not a lock, it's just a pattern that has shown value over time. So, for example, we have underdogs in divisional games over the last 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. The record is 4,685 wins to 6,110 losses. But guess what? It's still profitable, up over 59 units. That tells you something. Even though they lose more often, the price makes up for it. That's what a system is doing. It's identifying spots where the market might be slightly off. Now, here's the important part. You don't just blindly bet systems. You're going to use them as supporting evidence, something that strengthens a play you already like. And I'll tell you this, if you have a solid record keeper, these systems become way too easy. They almost build themselves because you're tracking everything, right? You're tracking your stats, your fundamentals, your results. And over time, patterns start to show up. And that's when you know you're doing the right thing. Not guessing, not chasing, but letting the data show you where that edge is. So, if you enjoy unbiased handicapping and real sports betting education, make sure that you subscribe to Grandstand Sports Data. That's all we focus on over here. All right, so that's your technical handicapping for betting the MLB. If you got value from this and want more MLB betting education, hit that like button. If you're into unbiased handicapping and real sports betting education, make sure you're subscribed here at Grandstand Sports Data. And I'm curious, what advanced stats will you be taking a closer look at this year? drop it in the comments down below. And if this guide helped you and you want to support the channel, you can always use super thanks down below. Think of it as buying us a coffee, and it's always greatly appreciated. And if you want something you can actually use every single day, check out down below our What Actually Matters in MLB betting checklist. It's going to walk you step by step through the exact factors that we covered and your exact daily checklist when it comes to betting the MLB. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.